shot. So we just finished 43 is beautiful string, and now we want to do 44 find email domain. Let's check it out. Great. Okay, so an email address. I think probably some of you guys have heard of these email addresses. Maybe you've seen one. Anyway, the point is an email address. If you haven't seen one, here's an example. john.smith@example.com. And example.com is a really, very popular top-level domain. A lot of email addresses end with like at gmail.com, but example.com is another popular one. Anyway, it's made up of the local part, which would be the john.smith, and then an @ symbol, and then the domain part, which is, in this case, the example.com. And notice that we're talking about strings here. We're sort of wrapping them in these quotation marks, right, implying strings. Okay, so the domain name part of the email address may only consist of letters, digits, hyphens, and dots. So if you see anything else in there, I don't know. But is that really what we're trying to check? Let's see. The local part, however, also allows a lot of different special characters. Here, you can look at several examples of correct and incorrect email addresses. Do we want to click it? I'm curious. Okay, it's a Wikipedia link, so how bad could it be, right? Let's take a look. Email addresses. Oh, this is nice. I like this one, pretty and simple. Okay, and I wonder if they use these for like for the tests. Okay, so these are invalid ones. It's nice to see those too. I mean, look, hey, just as a general note here, learning-wise, like a non-example can be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than an actual example. It's nice to know not just what you can do, but also what you can't do. Okay, so it looks like some of these are kind of not what I would have expected. Like this one over here, for example, it's got dots. It also has an @ in the original part of this, which is kind of, really strange. It's not quite as strange as this one, but hey, do you think this is somebody's email address? Like, do you think we could go ahead and email this person? And I wonder. Anyway, let's not get too off topic here. For now, let's keep our focus on finding this email domain. So, given a valid email address, we want to find its domain part. Now, I have to say, when I was first reading this, I was kind of thinking, like, when they're describing this especially, I was thinking, oh, okay, we're getting into regular expression territory. We're probably going to want to check to see if it's a valid domain. But no, we're just given a valid email address, and we want to find just the part that is the domain. That's the main thing. So let's do that. So basically, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, make some space first of all. I'm going to say let domain be assigned the value of empty string. And at the end, we want to return domain. That's our goal. But how are we going to do it? Well, let's just do a loop. Let's just go through the string and see what happens. So we'll say, okay. Here's what we'll do. So we'll say, we'll make a Boolean, okay? So a Boolean is gonna be called passed at symbol. Yeah, that probably seems really strange, but yeah, it's going to be false for now. Anyway, past the @ symbol. That's what we're trying to check. So then we'll say for let character of address. And if we are past the @ symbol, then we'll say domain plus equals character. We're just going to put that character right onto the domain. And otherwise, we'll say, like if it makes it past that, we'll say if character is the @ symbol, well then it must be past the @ symbol, so we'll set that to true. And whoa, that's not how I spelled true. Okay, so really important is the fact that these two lines come in this order. Okay, as you know, in programming, order is really important. But specifically in this case, it's important because we don't want to put this one first. Because if we did put this one first, then it would actually put the at the beginning there. Because it would say, oh, so past @ symbol is true. Well, in that case, we should put that character on the domain, and that character is the @ symbol. We don't want the @ symbol. We want the stuff after the @ symbol. So is this going to do it? Let's find out. Okay, so it's not passing test 2, but you know, it's passing the other 3. That's pretty not bad. So we're getting example.com, which is great. We're getting yandex.ru. I guess that's a Russian email address. We're getting example.org. That's a little more hip, actually. I like that a bit better. And then this one, no, we're not getting the right thing. And the reason is because we're getting everything after the first @ symbol. So remember, when we were looking at our valid email addresses here, we found that there were some of them that had @ symbols in the first part. What is it called? The local part of it? Yeah, the local part. So because that can happen, we're going to have to adjust our strategy here. But as it turns out, that's not a bad thing. So here's what we're going to do. Instead of this whole pass the @ symbol thing, I'm actually going to get rid of that. I don't like it, to be honest. It kind of bugs me. So we are going to do something like this, except instead now we're just going to say, if you get to a character and that thing is an @ symbol, just get the heck out of there. Break the loop. Don't go any further. Okay, otherwise, if you haven't encountered that yet, then we're just going to say domain plus equals character. Or, yeah, domain is assigned the value of domain plus character. But the thing is, now we're not really going to be able to do this. We're not going to be able to do a for of loop, or at least I don't think it's possible, because we need to go in the opposite order now. So we'll say for let I be assigned the value of address.length -1. And the reason, you might be wondering, why not just address.length? Why -1? Well, let's say our address length was, I'm trying to think of a short one. So what's this? The word address itself. Is that 7 characters? Yeah. So basically the indices would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last index would be 6, even though the length is 7. And the reason is because it starts with a 0. So keep that in mind. That's why I did a -1 on this thing. Okay, and we want to keep it iterating for as long as I is greater than or equal to 0, because we do want to make it all the way to the first character. Actually, we probably don't in this case, but oh well. And then we'll do I -. Super important to make sure this is a -, and not a ++. If it's a ++, it will be an infinite loop, never stop. Okay, and then character. What is that? I guess I should probably specify. So we'll say let character be assigned the value of address and I. And there are other ways of doing that, you know, like if we want to be a little more explicit about it, we could do character @ I. Okay, and now let's run this one and we'll see how it's working. But I do have to say, yeah, see, that's kind of weird, right? I'm not even sure how we would pronounce this, but it looks like, is this thing reversed? Well, thankfully, that's an easy fix. We could just do like a dot reverse, right? No problem. Just do a dot reverse. No, actually, it is a problem because this is a string, not an array. So we would have to convert this into an array, and this is kind of my favorite method of doing that at the moment. Reverse that, but then now all your characters are in an array. So now we got to join that. So we'll put that at the end. And now, you know, what was supposed to be like so simple and uncomplicated, this whole reverse thing, now this looks all weird. It looks like it's got all this tech on it and stuff. I would rather be able to just say domain. And thankfully, we can. Remember I said this line over here, the plus equals, that's the same as saying domain is assigned the value of domain plus character. Well, let's just not do it that way. Let's do it like this. We'll say domain is character plus domain. So we're putting it onto the other end. Okay, so now let's get rid of these guys. Otherwise, it's going to get real confusing. And that works. Okay, cool. So I'm going to try submitting that one. See if that's, yeah, okay. So that's great. Now, there are some like minor changes that we can make over here. Like, for example, this one says while I is greater than or equal to 0. What we could say is just, you know, while address at I is not equal to the @ symbol, because it has to have an @ symbol in it, right? So if we can do it like this, then we wouldn't need that. So that'll work as well. I mean, it's up to you, whichever one you prefer. In fact, you know what? Here, let me put both of them in there. The last one of these we did, the issue we had is that we made a lot of changes without really saving a lot of these, without really archiving a lot of our solutions. So I don't want to make the same mistake here. We'll be a little more repetitive this time, but that's fine. It's kind of appropriate for this problem actually, because the way we're going to look at this is basically just, you know, a lot of different strategies that we can use, and then I don't know, maybe we'll see which one's best, maybe not. The main thing is it's probably, in a problem like this, like in this type of challenge, you know, the constraints aren't that heavy or anything. I don't think we need to worry too much. It's probably going to be, you know, use whichever method you like the best. Okay, so I made a comment in the last one we were doing when we were looking at 43. I made a comment about there being this split method that people sort of use to count instances of a character in a string. So we're going to use split here, but for a slightly different purpose. So specifically, we'll do something like this. We'll say let parts be assigned the value of address dot split. Where are we going to split it? Well, you've seen split before. It basically turns. Actually, I should probably return something. Yeah? All right. So we've seen split before. It basically just breaks this up into a bunch of different things. So now we're just bringing it into basically all of its characters, and it's because we didn't really put in an argument. Well, we did, but it was an empty string. So now let's put in lowercase letter e, and we'll see what happens. So now basically it's taking the e, it disregards it, and it just says, okay, everything before the e, and then everything between the first e and the second e, that's going to be this. And basically it's just going to break all these down with e's as sort of like the boundary points here. It's not really e that I'm not interested in. I just want to use that as an example because it's a very common character. It's the @ symbol that I'm really interested in. Well, that's nice. So we get the example.com we're looking for. We get the example.org we're looking for. We get the yandex.ru, and we get the example.org that we're looking for in each of these. And it happens to be the last element of each of these. And that's kind of important because remember, sometimes there's more than one @ symbol. So it's not just at one, it's got to be at the end of it, right? So something like this, parts.length -1. Remember the -1 like we saw in the loop down here. Okay, so there we go. This, it works. This is another way of doing it. Use that method if you like it. But I'm going to modify it a little bit. I'm going to do something a little bit different with it. So let's close that comment and we'll do this another way. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, you know what? I would really like it if that was one line. I would really like it. The fact that this is 2 lines, it's actually really bumming me out. I didn't want to say anything, but I would really prefer for it to be 1 line. I don't normally care about that kind of stuff, but I don't know, for some reason this time it's bothering me. So, well, could we just do something like, you know, instead of parts is assigned the value of this, could we just do return this at, you know, the thing we're looking for? So like, you know, at 1, for example, and then we'll run the tests on that one and see how it works. And yeah, it's passing most of them, but again, we can't assume it's at 1. Where can we assume it is? Well, basically parts.length -1. So this is the reason we were coming up with this other variable for it, which I just realized is missing a semicolon. Anyway, the point is, we were doing, you know, we had parts here so that we could actually tell, well, how long is it? But if I know that it's going to be the last element in the array, and I don't really need this array for any other purpose, and I know it's going to have at least one thing in it, I might as well just pop it off the end. Might as well, right? So that's a little nicer. That's legitimately 1 line, a very short line actually, so that's pretty not bad. Okay, but I have to say, it's not my fave. I do have a preferred method. As glorious as that was, getting that down to 1 line, I do have a method that I prefer. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to use .slice. You remember .slice, right? We could do like address.slice, and we could go with like, I don't know, 2, 5. Let's try that and see what that gives us. So ETT. So it's basically giving us everything that begins at index 2 and goes all the way up to, but not including index 5. So it includes the element at index 2, at index 3, and at index 4, but not 5. Okay, so that's how slice works. Now, slice also works with just 1 argument, if we made it a 2, for example. Now it's just going to take the element at index 2 and everything else, all the way to the end of the string there. Okay, why am I thinking about that? Why do I like that? Well, it's because I basically want to do that right here, start at this character and then go to the end of the string. Okay, well, where is that character? Well, it's where the at symbol is, +1, basically. So we could do something like address.indexOf, the at symbol, +1. And we'll run that, but we're going to run into the same issue as before. We're passing most of these, but any one of them that has an at symbol in the local part, it's going to have an issue. Okay, so does that mean we can't use indexOf because it's always just going to give us the index of like the first instance of the thing? Well, yeah, it does mean we can't use indexOf, but we have good news. There's another tool called lastIndexOf, and it does pretty much what you would guess it does. It gets you the last one instead of the first one. So it's basically like what we were originally doing here, right? It's kind of interesting actually because like this is very similar now to our original struggle, which is that we started out, we were looping from the left. We found that didn't work because when we found the at, it might not be the last at, the one we were looking for. So we found that we actually had to start from the right. And so that's basically what we're doing with this too, with the last index out there. So, okay, I'm gonna submit that. I think that's good. I think, hopefully. Yes, it's good. Okay, awesome. So I'm happy with that. I think that about does it for this one. What do we have here? Like 5 different examples? That's probably good. Yeah, I think so. Anyway, let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns.